talk about the investment visas. We have been receiving a lot of questions about this new visa type. As you know, now the investment is about approximately $40,000. This money has to be invested in a CD, in an Ecuadorian bank institution, or it can be by buying a property that is assessed at a minimum of $40,000. You will add an additional $500 for each dependent. But now, what we learned about this visa is that only the main applicant will benefit from the free travel restrictions. This is very important because if there is a husband and a wife applying and they only have one investment, that is one CD, for example, at $40,500, but then only the main applicant, in other words, the investor, can benefit from the free traveling. But if husband and wife want to have the free restrictions, they will need to do two separate investments. Now, what happens after 2 years? These first 2 years, you do not have the restrictions of being out of the country. There is no limit of time. But after 2 years, you can apply for a permanent residency visa. But permanent residency visa, even if you have an investor's or an investment visa, you will be restricted for the time out of the country, which is 6 months at that time. That is year number 3, year number 4. Year number 5, you're pretty much free to travel. But again, if you want to have the freedom of traveling for an additional 2 years after the temporary, instead of renewing it for a permanent visa, you will renew for another temporary, which means you will have another 2 years of free restrictions on your traveling. That is 2 years and then another 2 years. And then eventually, when you are ready to establish in Ecuador and you know you're going to spend at least 6 months in the country, you will go ahead and apply for a permanent residency visa. Then of course, eventually after 5 years, 2 years of temporary, 3 years of permanent, you can apply for citizenship. Now, this is another question that I get all the time. When can I withdraw the funds? Well, the answer is you cannot withdraw the funds until you want to be a resident of Ecuador. In other words, you can withdraw the funds only when you decided that you don't want to continue having a residency in Ecuador, whether it is permanent, temporary. You can only withdraw the money when you become a citizen, which is going to be 5 years later after you apply, after you take the test. However, you can withdraw the interest every month, or every 3 months, or every 6 months, or at the end of every year. That depends on how you negotiate with your bank. Most people like to withdraw the interest every month, and they will give you an ATM card.